It's the only trial I ever went to where I thought, I don't care what they say, because I go back, got the job, playing Sunday morning football, I'm enjoying that, and I let myself go.
If you're not already, don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fozcast. I've got my mate Tom. How are you, mate?
Very good. Very, very much looking forward to this one, I've got to say.
Yeah, me too. It's fair to say that we have got a actual living football legend in the studio with us today. Let me give you a little bit of a taster of what this guy has done, okay? Played for Crystal Palace, Arsenal, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Celtic and Burnley. 117 goals for Palace, 185 goals for Arsenal, 313 club goals, 9 England goals, the one, the only, Uncle Ian Wright. Oh my gosh.
How you doing, Foz? How you doing, Tom?
Very
Love your
mate.
stuff. Love your stuff, guys. I'm not even joking. Love it.
Mate, first of all, can I say massive thank you on behalf of us both for coming down today.
Yes.
We were waiting for you outside and there was people all over the shop just grabbing you, wanting a piece of the action, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, I said to Ben, I said like on the way in, I said you got to remember, like Ben's got his football audience,
Yeah.
YouTube audience. With what you've done in your career, like with even TikTok, you hit every demographic going, kids
Wow.
to.
It's funny because, like, with the TikTok, once we started doing the TikTok, the thing is, it's fun to do. I don't feel like, oh God, I'm the old guy doing TikTok. I just do stuff and it's really funny. And then the engagement you're getting with kids when you see them on the street and that, they call me like, that guy's the TikTok guy. He done that TikTok guy.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
How many? 313 goals
Yeah.
and you're known as a TikTok guy.
The TikTok guy.
Horrible. Right, so Righty, before we start all our podcasts, we've got some icebreaker questions.
Go on then.
Okay. So our icebreaker question is, if you could pick 3 people, dead, alive, famous, non-famous, it doesn't matter, right? You're going out for a session, you're going out for a lovely time, whatever your favourite sort of night out is, yeah?
Yeah.
Down and dirty, sweaty floors, it doesn't matter, yeah? Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Which 3 people are you picking?
Wow. Great icebreaker. Let me see. I probably pick Muhammad Ali.
Oh, big one. I don't think we've had him
No,
before.
we've not had that.
No.
Yeah, he looks like, of course, he trains hard, but if he lets go, he'll have a laugh. And once you get deep in a sesh with him, he'll probably be quite memorable with some of the stuff he says. I think, so I'd have Muhammad Ali. I'd have Maya Angelou, old writer. Yeah, she's an old writer, old poet, old muse way back in the day. Unbelievable lady. You have to have a lady there.
Nice.
A lady of
Calm it
substance.
down a little bit.
Yeah, a lady of substance. And then I'd probably have, let me see, who would I have as just to have, so I could say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm with them two. Probably Prince.
Prince the singer, Prince.
Oh, Prince.
Yeah.
Not a Prince. I was thinking, what, William, Harry?
I'll probably have them 3. You know what is funny about them? In fact, I'd probably have Michael Jordan instead of Prince.
Oh, that's a very good one.
Yeah, I'd probably have Michael Jordan instead of Prince, because Prince might kind of take down the tone with his vibe.
I think so, yeah.
His
Michael
little high.
Jordan would be good to go, won't it?
Yeah, I think so. Michael Jordan could probably flex in that kind of like company.
Man, that's a big top 3, that, isn't it?
Yes,
That's a heavy top 3, that. All right, Righty. Okay, Uncle Ian Wright. I can see, obviously, at the minute, you've got a smile on your face. The Buzz in Arsenal are doing very, very well. We'll talk about Arsenal in a bit, I'm sure, but we want to take it back, all right, because England played the other night, San Marino, okay? Aaron Ramsdale made his debut.
Yeah.
I looked at Aaron Ramsdale past of how he got into football, okay, and he has been all over the shop, right? He's obviously hit the big time now. He's playing for England, he's playing for Arsenal, but he started his career off out on loan at absolutely anybody will take him. And it's a very similar story to me and a very similar story to you. Greenwich Borough. Talk to me about how that happened and how you found getting into football late on that journey a bit sort of helpful.
I think I only found it helpful once I got in. All the trying to get there was sometimes devastatingly sad, and the rejection was a thing I had a problem with. I had a problem with it from a young age because I got rejected in all the trials when I was younger. And then I think the last one, I never got into any trial until I got to Palace at 22. The last one, what literally finished me off, made me say I'm just going to concentrate on working and playing football on a Saturday and Sunday, was when I went to Brighton on loan. It was just after, it was in and around 84. It would have been 84. I think it would have been about that time. But I think, you know what? The manager would have been Jimmy Melia, I think. No, Chris Catlin. Chris Catlin. And I went there from Brockley all the way to Brighton, begged, steal and borrow to get down there. Done everything, scored in the reserves. And they said no. And so my attitude towards it was, listen, I love playing football, so I'm just going to play for my Sunday team. And then, you know what I mean, I'll just go from there. And then what was happening was, I was just playing Sunday morning football, and I've been playing man's football since I was like 15 and a half, 16. I lied about my age to play in my team 10MB. And I've been playing man's football from then, and I was scoring loads of goals on a Saturday and Sunday, to the point where I'd score goals where I was scoring 3 and 4 goals, and I'd try and find other ways of scoring, try to hit the bar, try to hit the post.
Just taking the mick then, basically.
And you don't realise because in the end, you feel like, but I'm playing Sunday morning football, it's easy. So you're kind of taking the mickey, people trying to kick you. You know, I remember you used to having to run away from fights. You go and play on the Ferrer Estate down in Sidcup, and you go down in the deep dungeon of Deptford in Millwall country, and you're an all-black team, white goalkeeper, of course. You know what I mean? And like, you what's it called? You go down there, sometimes you're leaving the place like warriors. So you kind of get this kind of like vibe around you where you really take the world on. And because I thought that I was okay in playing normal football, like non-league football, Sunday football, but in the pros, I was no good. And that's what everyone around me used to say. And then, you know, I went to Greenwich Borough just at the end of a season. I played 3 games for him. I wasn't signed to Greenwich Borough.
Okay.
I was either going to go to Greenwich Borough or Dulwich Hamlet.
You're getting paid at this point, no?
No. The first time I got paid was Greenwich Borough. I remember he said to me, and we played a game down there because our pitches ran out. They turned them into cricket pitches. I went down there, we played a game, and the manager, Mickey Redmond, he went up to my manager and said, listen, will we be able to have him for 3 games? We'll pay him £30 a game for the 3 games.
Is this 1984?
I would say this would have been, just before Palace.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like just
That's
before
a lot of
Palace.
money still, that.
Well, it was. Well, the thing was is that I didn't know Palace was anywhere around because I played a couple of finals in the Mary Wiltshire Shield and that, and I scored a hat trick in the final. Scored 2 in the semi-final.
Your memory's fast, by the way.
We played another one we played another final at Bromley. We beat a team 1-0. We beat Longwall 4-1 in a final at Bromley, because this was my whole life. I remember, you know what? It would have been in and around 1983 because me and my mate Conrad, who's passed away unfortunately, we were playing the Michael Jackson song Thriller on repeat, just constantly all the time. I remember "Wanna Be Starting Something" was our main tune when we used to go, and so I remember then scoring all those goals, and people started talking about people are watching you, but I didn't care because that's happened to me before. I've had the rejection; it wasn't something I was bothered about. And then I had this trial I played for the Greenwich Borough 3 games, and it's funny because after the first game I was thinking he's going to give me like the £30, but he didn't give it me. And so I was like, probably they're not going to give it me. Fuck it. And if they don't give me, I don't care. I'll play for nothing anyway.
Still turn up, yeah.
Second game, still never gave me no money. I thought, they're not giving me any. So then the third game, I remember he said, listen, we really want you to sign. And at the same time, Dulwich Hamlet wanted me to sign. And so, and then he took £90 out his pocket and gave it to me. It was really awkward because it felt sordid and weird because he went like that. Oh yeah, by the way, here you go. And I took it. It was £90 first time. I was 21. First time I ever got paid for playing football.
21.
And it was then where you think to yourself, oh, brilliant. Well, I'll just go and play non-league football. So I had a trial for Greenwich Borough. They said, right, we'll take you. And then I wanted to have this trial for Dulwich Hamlet because that's where Andy Gray, my teammate from Palace, he got taken from Dulwich Hamlet. And while I was having a possibles and probables trial with Dulwich Hamlet, that's when I got approached by the Peter Prentice, dear old Peter Prentice who passed away at Palace. And I remember because I'd never been approached. When I was a kid, the district teams, they never got approached, and it would
even like county level.
Nothing.
Wow.
Never got approached by a scout. And I remember he actually said, "Hello, my name is Peter Prentice, and I represent Crystal Palace, and we would like to offer you a 2-week trial at our football club. We're very impressed with what you've seen." And I was like, "Whoa!" But the thing what happened was I was like blown away, obviously, because it's the first time I was 21. I could deal with a coach, with a scout coming up then. But like all my flashbacks went, oh my God, a scout's coming up to me. And then I remember saying, listen, I can't do it. Because the reason why I couldn't do it was because I was afraid. I was afraid of failing again. And I was afraid of the rejection. And I was afraid of what was going to happen when I went back to the ends, what they would have said. And I just thought, listen, Sean was free at the time. Sean was free. Bradley was just born. And so I just got a decent job at Tunnel Refineries in Greenwich, and I turned them down. I turned them down 3 times, and it was only the boss said, "How's it going? What's happening with the football?" And I told him, and he said, "I'll just go. I'll try and keep the job for you. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work out, come back and get the job." And it worked out.
So at this point, then you signed for Palace. Yeah? So, like you say, you're fully sort of worried about like failing and rejection.
Because they only signed me for 3 months, Foz.
Was that what it was?
Yeah. So in the end, it made me even worse in respect to my anxiety and my rejection, because they didn't sign me for a year. So I thought, all right, I've got a year, so I can really get
hit the ground running.
So I signed for 3 months, and I'm thinking, well, in 3 months' time, and remember, everybody knows now, oh, Palace have taken him, because everybody from the football team's telling everybody, oh, Palace have taken him, Palace have taken him. And it was for 3 months. And I was like, I was petrified. I wasn't even sleeping properly. I was thinking, oh, God, I'm going to go 3 months, then they're going to blow me out.
It's interesting, though, because you started relatively late, didn't do any of the academies.
I was 18 when I signed pro, but I'd never done, like I say, nothing. So you're 3 or 4
when
years
you're on
later
loan, when you're on loan, it's one thing because you've got the security of a contract and you're kind of like going out and they're saying do well, and then you come home. Whereas I never thought about it like that way. It's stressful because you're playing for a deal, aren't you?
It's so stressful. And the thing is that, remember as well, I've come out off the building site literally, and then all of a sudden you're training. You're going to training, and they're taking you to spas. You're doing all the stuff. They're looking after you. You're kind of getting used to something that you think, wow, this is amazing. This is what it's like being at a professional football club. But all the time I was doing that, it was very hard to actually let go and feel comfortable being amongst it. Yeah. When I'm feeling like, well, you know what I mean? We're talking about a month in, petrified. And then a couple of weeks after that, they signed me for a year, because I think that QPR, I was playing against QPR and all that. Played against QPR, played against Reading, played against the reserves, which was a massive thrill for me, because all of a sudden I'm playing in football stadiums.
Proper, yeah.
You know what I mean? You're playing, and they're empty. I know they're empty, but I was like, oh my God, I've seen this on the television, right? And so you're playing in those games, and then after like 6 weeks, like he called me and Steve Coppell and him and Ron Nodes, they said, we're going to sign you for a year. And then literally, when he said that, something clicked, and I said, right, this is it. This is my time. It's happened.
You didn't have an agent at this point?
No, I didn't have anything.
That wasn't even really a thing back then?
No, it weren't. It weren't a thing then. And it's like, once I got there, I realised how tough football was, and how I was playing. I was playing full football, I call it now. And like, I remember I mentioned like about practicing to hit the post and going, or try to hit the bar, or try to chip the keeper. And all that came good for me when I went for the trial with Palace, because I was just shooting from everywhere. I scored 4 goals, and Jim Cannon was at the back, Mickey Droy, Henry Houghton was right back, David Lindsay. They had their first team. I was playing against the first team, and I literally slaughtered their first team, scoring goals. I scored. George Wood was in goal. Remember George Wood?
Yeah.
I scored 2 goals in the practice game, and David Lindsay nearly took my eye out, and they took me off. I had to come off because he gouged my eye, because I think they thought I was taking the piss. I wasn't taking the piss. I was just playing, and like, these are the things that, when I was practicing, all of a sudden I was just doing them in that game. You know, I hit the post about 3 times playing, hit the crossbar. It was like, you know what, if you could say the perfect trial, because I tell you what it was, I genuinely thought they were going to let me go. I didn't have nothing to lose. I think it's the only trial, because all the time from a kid going into this kind of stuff, it's the only trial I ever went to where I thought, I don't care what they say, because I'll go back, got the job, playing Sunday morning football, enjoying that, and I let myself go.
Is that because you were a little bit older, maybe?
Probably, yeah, a bit more worldly. A bit more confident about myself, and the fact that I had a decent job to fall back on. You say that you had the loan, so someone's paying it. What I had to fall back on was the fact that Gary Twidell, who was my boss at the time, he said, I'll give you the job.
Yeah, boom.
You know, so I kind of had, I'll do 2 weeks of football and then I'd go back to the job. But then they kept me on. Then the anxiety starts again. Then I'm starting to think, I can't get used to this life because they take it away from me. And then obviously
you hit the ground running.
I did, to be honest. I did.
How long in between getting into the team, signing for Palace, and then actually playing first team football?
It weren't long. It would have been. It weren't long. I'd say once 85 season, they started to put me on. I started to not start games, coming off the bench, and the fans were singing for me to come on. I think my first game was against Huddersfield, away at Huddersfield. I remember playing, the one game I remember more than anything else, I come on against Portsmouth, and it was Billy Gilbert and Noel Blake was at the back. It was a really rough Portsmouth side. And all I remember was just getting kicked fucking everywhere. Just everyone kicked. Blood just blasting into the back of me. I was like, I'm not ready for this, man. I can't play this level, man. I couldn't do anything. But then what happened is I got the ball a couple of times, went past a couple of people. But then again, as soon as I went past someone, I got fucking smashed. I wasn't strong enough. I remember they put me on a kind of like a steak and banana and potatoes fucking...
Protein, yeah. Come on.
I was eating everything, bulked up. And then before I knew it, so then I came on against Oldham. I played against Fulham, came on against Fulham, and I think I hit the post. And that the fans were singing for me to come on. Then they came on against Oldham, and it was 2-1. We were losing 2-1. Kevin Taylor scored, and I scored the winner. And then that was it. And that was it. I was like literally in the first team.
What do you think was the turning point from being sort of anxious about? Is it that? Because I think for me personally, I think in my mid-20s, I'd say late 20s probably maybe, when I learned to just basically not give a shit, not worry about like what might happen, if you fail, what ifs kind of thing. That is when I realised that I was just like, I could just go and enjoy it.
Well, the problem I had was, my problem was, what if I don't fail? Because I was worried about what people were thinking. Oh, your failure, your rejection, you're no good, you're not good enough, and this and that. So the only time I felt like I didn't need to worry about that was when the boss said, I'll keep the job for you.
Yeah.
So then I went to the trial, and literally, because when you go to them trials, don't lose the ball, make sure you don't give the ball away here, make sure you get and I was just worried about too many things instead of just playing.
Being too safe.
Being too safe, and I'm not safe. It's not naturally in my personality to be safe. I've got to go for it. Yeah. And that was when I went for it. I did go for it. And I remember Steve Coppell, after the first couple of games, was getting kicked all over the place. And I remember him saying to me, the way you see the game in the last third, never change the way you see the game. You're going to have to sharpen up in linking the play. Because I remember Jim Cannon used to have me by the collar. You know what I mean? The dressing room. Because I've given the ball away. I've tried to do the Hollywood cross-field pass. It gets cut out and then he's under pressure. Remember, he's an old player at the time. So he was constantly, the pressure was going on. Because I kept giving the ball away. And it's only when Trevor Aylock came... firstly, Trevor Aylock was there when I got there, so I played with him a couple of times in the reserves. And then when Mark Bright came, like maybe 18 months after, or maybe a year after, I've really started to learn about being a striker, learning how to make runs. I started to get bigger. I was more. I wasn't afraid of anyone, but I was stronger. I was able to hold the tackles off and do a lot more. And then I started to feel. Like I could see people feared me, feared the pace, feared
some feeling as a striker. That
honestly, it's amazing because you could see it when you kick off and you run towards them. They've got a look. You could see it in their eyes. They've got a look in their eyes that they're afraid of something. So this is why I can't understand where when you've got pace, the first thing I do is I'd say to all the players, and once we got to Arsenal and everyone, just put a couple over in the corner. Let me let them know that they're going to run today. They're going to run, and if it comes into me, I'm going to do them with skill. I'm going to do everything to them. So I just wanted to make them know. I challenge keepers. I do it a lot. And then once I realised that the fans loved that kind of devil may care, fucking naughty kind of like. Honestly, I just like got so much. I got even more energy. I just kept getting boosts from different things.
I can feel the energy now. I'm buzzing off it now. Yeah. I'm just listening there thinking, this is fucking incredible.
Honestly. Yeah. Then all of a sudden I do a bit of skill and the fans go like, oh. And so I'd say, Jesus, they love that. You know what I mean? It was really strange. I'd have shots just to hear the fans go, oh. Just in case.
What were you like in training versus a match then? Were you one that dialed it kind of, like you're the same, aren't you, where you live for match day, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. Training for me, like it's great, but the match day is the buzz. Is when, like I say, when it kicks off at 3 o'clock, you get that buzz, and you can see the crowd and how much it means to them, and you feed off it like you wouldn't believe. Don't you? It's unbelievable.
But you know what was good for me in training is because obviously once I started to train regularly, I'm a professional now, so I'm trained. I couldn't believe how some training sessions were just so amazing that all you're doing is looking forward to Saturday because you just want to be like I was in training. Because what I always done, when people say to you, well, you're nervous, are you nervous? And I was not nervous on the Saturday. I was anxious because I wanted to do well. But the reason why I weren't nervous, because in training, I just always used to think back on the good things I'd done. So I'd be buzzing going into the game. I'd be buzzing going into the game.
You know you can do that again. Roll it, replicate it.
Just do stuff. And you know that even if you have a shot, even if you try to go past someone and then they tackle you, especially if you're at home, you're going to get something from the crowd. So it's just like continually energizing.
Right. You've got to be a quick learner. You must be, like, inbuilt in you must be a quick learner, because whatever you've done, sort of whether it's football afterwards, punditry, frigging telly, hosting, or it must be all completely new to you, but within, you must pick it up just like that. So like say, learning even about football, learning how to be a striker, you must have just within months at Palace just learned how to do it.
You know, watching and then being on the bench and watching the runs of other strikers. You know, while I started to watch strikers like myself, I remember John Hendry. He used to play for Bradford, and they used to have Stuart McCall was in the midfield with him. He wasn't quick in that, but his movement was unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I mean? So then what you do, you just start watching people like Gary Lineker's movement. When I used to watch Gary Lineker and that.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So I used to go and watch. I used to go and watch live games and watch stuff and watch players and how they run. And I think to myself, Jesus Christ! I saw Gary Lineker rip Des Walker to shreds, who was like my nemesis. I hated playing against Des. Gary Lineker ran him all over the place.
Des Walker, you know?
Yeah.
He was an athlete.
God, you can't do anything because Des was one of those players that he'd tell you what you're going to do, because he said, you can make that run if you want, because I know he hasn't got enough time on the ball.
Yeah.
So you can make the run. You're not getting me with that. So then you start to think, Jesus Christ, it's a different level of defender I've got to play against, because he's not going to go for my little moves, because he knows that the player on the ball is not maybe good enough to do it, or he hasn't got enough time to do it, hasn't got his head up yet.
That's a top level.
So then now you realise you're dealing with an elite level of defender, that you can't just say, I've got skill and I've got pace. You've got to have something upstairs. So then you have to know the timing of who's on the ball, when he's got it, because then the defender now has got a problem. If he's got time and I've got pace and there's space behind, he's now got a massive problem. So then you have to learn that. And once I learned that, because remember when I first came up from Sunday, you know what I mean? I'm just running, just like, you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking
See the level though. See the level. We're talking to one of England's, like, in terms of strikers, like as good as it gets. So like that little insight you've given me there. Like people think footballers are thick, don't they? They honestly do think footballers are thick. Like, but what you're describing there is that you have to judge that down to a millimetre, a second. It's like a split second, isn't it? But take it all in at the same time.
Absolutely. And this is why I'm looking at it now, doing the punditry and doing the VAR. I said, I don't know what I do in this now, because the runs I made were literally on the line. I'll be probably offside most of the time now. Don't know. So my time when I played was my perfect time, because everything about my stuff was about seeing his number down there, seeing, like, whether it's if I'm facing that way and I'm looking at the left back, seeing where he is, so I could stay where he is, stay on the same line, so that when the ball comes, I can make that run, and finding out if he's got enough time on it, because he knows I want it over the top. So you have to make sure you see him, so then he can't see you or he can't see you, but you're using him. You know what I mean? You're using him. You're using him to make the bendy run. But now the bendy run, you could still be offside by his shoulder.
But it's interesting, though, because we put down here in some of the notes is like the art of goal scoring. You know, you're kind of born with the pace you've got. You can train it a little bit. Shooting, yes. But the thing with you, which I always noticed in watching back all your goals, like last night I was watching them, and it's the movement. It's the movement. And one thing I always got is I think you're always in the right place at the right time. And the question I had was, like, we speak about Busquets, and his head is always moving. And it's the same with that, isn't it? Because it's no coincidence that you're always in the right place. Is that natural, or is that something you really worked on?
You work on that. You watch someone like Lineker, Ian Rush.
Yeah.
You know, them players, it's just, for me, what I learned from being in the box and trying to be in the right place is that try and get as close to the goalkeeper or in and around the closest person to the goalkeeper in the moment, because at some stage the ball's got to go past either that person or it's got to go to the goalkeeper. So if you can then get yourself in a position where you're in the line of the goalkeeper, someone's going to have a shot where the goalkeeper's going to have to try and save it. So if you can get yourself in and around what the goalkeeper's movements, then you're probably going to be in direct line with where the ball's going to try and come at some stage.
It's put yourself in the optimal position.
Exactly.
Basically.
So if you're in and around where you can, then you're going to probably get the bounces. That's why I think that people say, God, he's always in the right position. Simply because you've got to be in and around where you feel that the ball might come through your trajectory on that line. And so the goalie might save it, and then you're close enough, you tap it in, but you've got to be close in and around the goalkeeper.
I think there's a lot of good strikers in that, right? And there always has been. But I think that's the difference almost, is we talked about training it and developing it. But there's a huge part of it which separates the good from the best. And that's got to be instinct. is a big part.
You know, there's an instinct, but then I tell you what really then kicks you on again. I got into the England squad at 26.
Still at Palace at this point.
Yeah. And then you're training with Lineker, and then you're training with Waddle and Barnes and Robson and that. And then you realise that this is where you're giving away the ball and you're going a six-a-side rondo kind of like situation, or you're playing a five-a-side against another team, you give the ball away, what it means at that level. All of a sudden you're realising, Jesus Christ, there's another level to go to here.
Yeah.
There's another level because every defender's quick and sharp. Every defender's thinking like Des Walker. Even the defenders who are so-called not quick. That's why you can, someone like John Terry, he's positional play. Tony Adams, the positional play. So you're dealing with someone who might not be quick, where you think I might be able to get something off him, but his positional play, he'll block it, and then he'll make sure that, like, if the ball ain't right, he's in straight away, so no mistakes can be made. You can't just spin off a Des Walker because he's too quick. So what I learned then is how important it is to know how much time the guy on the ball's got, know how much time, know if I've got the space to run in there, and stuff like that. It was just like constantly learning. When I went into a squad with Shearer, Fowler, Ferdinand, Sheringham was in there with myself. We was in there and we had a shooting session. And I remember, I think I remember Jermaine Jenner say when he left the England training sessions and he went back to Newcastle, his levels dropped.
Yes.
Mine went the other way because I realised that's the level that I've got to make sure that I'm staying to when I go back to training ground, because these guys are not even missing targets. They're not missing the target. Their touch is not off. So when I went back, my levels went higher.
Again.
I needed more. I needed more from Stan Turner and the boss. I needed more because I was saying, I remember speaking to Chris Waddle for about 2 hours. This was when I was in the second division at Palace, and he told me about finishing. He told me about when you're in training, don't take liberties because you're not going to get that time when you go higher.
Yeah.
Take the touch, get the shot off. Don't take another touch and another. Get it done sharper. Make everything sharper and tighter.
Can I say, from a goalie's point of view, right? So the shooting sessions that you'll do, no matter what club you're at, if it's done match pace, yeah. If it's a shooting session done at match pace, I will perform so much better because I know that everything has to be firing. I have to be on my toes for everything. It's bang bang and it's quick as that. Like I said, when I used to go away with England, I was exactly the same as you. We'd do a shooting session, mate. You can't just leave that little half step and just not be bothered to take that little half step, because they'll exploit it, mate. They'll put it in the corner. It's a joke.
You were in with Beck's,
mate, all the big
Golsey.
boys. It's the same thing, but a different era. But like I say, you'd go back to your training ground and you'll see them, and then you'd almost get lazy again.
Yes, because you're not getting the same level of competition. This is why with England, even England at the moment, I'm very, very pleased with what's going on, because there seems to be a lot of people pushing each other in there. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because like you can't. You go back to your club and you're not playing against that caliber of striker. You're not going to be as sharp because you're. And so you have to make sure. This is why I went back. I said to him, I need more. I need more now. I need more from that. So when I went to Arsenal, Jesus Christ, it was another level. You could hardly score past Dave Seaman in training.
All right, we're going to come on to this because Dave Seaman's my favourite guy. What a guy, by the way.
So just quickly, Ben. So FA Cup final, 1990, 3-3, replay, lose 1-0.
Yeah.
Was that the kind of spotlight for you?
Majorly, because the FA Cup was everything for me when I was growing up.
Yeah, it was massive.
I didn't think I was going to get to playing that one because I cracked my fibula twice that season, and I think that I had about 2.5 months if Palace got to the final. So my rehabilitation was like literally
on the
line, on the line, literally to a week. And
but
so
they're
I didn't
trying their nuts basically, Palace, to get you fit. They're
doing everything, and in the end, I just made it. There was a game I played the week before. I played 2 games the week before. One was on the Monday. In fact, I played a game before and I was just like jumping out of things. I was scared because we got to the final, and so I wasn't doing the stuff what you meant to do: go in and tackle, just be amongst
stuff.
Yeah. And so he sorted out another game on Monday, and I done the same thing. And he said, "Listen, I'm going to sort another game on Wednesday. I'm going to get a game on Wednesday, and if you play how you've played in the last 2 games." You're not. I'm not going to pick you. You're not going to be fit enough to play. And it was really, honestly, I never felt so afraid from one game to another. So he told me this on the Monday after that game. We had to play the game on the Wednesday, and remember, this is my dream. I've been watching the FA Cup final since the first one, 1970, and I just had to go into that game and let go. just let go. Just done it. Sliding tackles,
Scary
had shots,
though, isn't it? That's
and then
scary
you know what I
when
mean.
you've had a big injury.
Honestly, and twice as well. And the second time I got it done, it wasn't even a mad kick. It was just like someone caught me by accident when I was going through, bam, and I landed awkwardly, and he caught me, and it went again. And I was like, and I was afraid of that. So on the Saturday, when I was declared fit, I didn't get on till the 73rd minute. Then you come on, you score, then you score again in extra time. I'm thinking I'm going to be that hero. What I saw so many years before with people scoring the winning goals in FA Cups, it didn't happen because Mark Hughes scored the equaliser. But then I remember for the replay. So now all of a sudden, so just going back quick. So remember, so we're playing in the final, and like the week before the final, I could go down. My mum's down in Brockley, down in Forest Hill, and everywhere where I came from, and it was fine. The Tuesday after the Saturday, when we was going to play the replay on the Thursday, I went down to my mum's, stopped cars in the street. People stopping on the street. I couldn't believe it. The change. Yeah. All of a sudden.
In a week, 10 days.
It wasn't even 10 days. It was like from Saturday to Tuesday. So like the week, yeah. So you say the week before, like I went to see my mum before the final, just go and see everybody and that. The week after the final, the Tuesday before the Thursday before we actually lost, literally stopping the road. People on the street were stopping. Couldn't believe it. It was like my life literally changed from that moment. It was like. And it was the greatest day of my life. Even now, even though won the Premier League.
The FA Cup was everything.
It was everything.
It was.
We used to watch the footage. Used to start at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'd love to see? I'd love them to see them give a Champions League spot to the FA Cup winners. I would.
Yeah.
I think it.
No,
they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. Do it.
You know, we played when I was at West Brom a few years ago. We had a big centre back, Jonas Olsson, right? And he's from Sweden.
Yes.
And he used to, whenever we had an FA Cup match, right? And it's the way that it's gone in this country. The FA Cup's kind of got watered down a little bit. It's never means the same as what it used to, mate. He was like, listen, where we come from, the FA Cup, it's the biggest competition in the world.
For them.
It is the biggest FA Cup. And I remember us losing in like, I don't know, the 5th round or whatever it was. He was honestly fuming. He had lost his, because to him, but I'd love it to be like that again for everybody. Do
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
I tell you what was one of the beautifulest things that just recently happened. I was playing golf with Sir Alex and in Loch Lomond. Me and Shearer were there, and you know what I mean. We were playing in a really nice golf competition, and so Steve Coppell was there.
Nice.
Which is, you know, anywhere I see him, honestly.
Steve Coppell, a legend, yeah.
Honestly, he's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. He was, and I remember he walked past because he came up to see me, and so Alex said to him, absolutely done us a favour not putting him on in the second game. I was like, thank you so much. But the thing about that was, I heard that there was rumours that if I played in that second game, I might have gone to the 1990 World Cup.
Oh, mate.
Which was
Italia 90.
Yeah, which I was really devastated about because obviously I missed out on all the tournaments.
Yeah.
Missed out on 92, won the Golden Boot, didn't even go.
Oh.
Didn't take me. 94, we didn't qualify. 96, got dropped at the last game. 98, tore my hamstring. When Glenn Hoddle told me I was going, it was like, honestly, it's devastating thing. That's why I probably think I get so like enamoured and like animated when we're playing and when we're doing well in the tournament. I feel like I'm amongst it still.
I think it must go to show though how much of a legend you must be if you've not really sort of played many times for England, haven't gone to a major tournaments or anything, but still it's Ian Wright. What a guy, mate! It
was goals. It was every season, wasn't it? What were you, 6 seasons in a row? Top Arsenal.
Right. So anyway, let's talk about Arsenal. Let's bring it to Arsenal.
Yeah.
So boom. £2.5 million club record transfer fee.
Money.
It was massive money. It's huge. But with that, obviously, a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
People, you've got to score goals. But mate, you've hat-trick first game, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that I was genuinely petrified because you remember it was a time where the London News showed. I don't know why I was watching it. I was just obviously we'd done the signing up. You know, I was actually at David Rocastle's house because I had to go from David Rocastle's to training the next day, and I remember watching it and on the Vox Pops. You know, where they're doing the video, they were saying, what are we signing him for? We've got players. We've got Campbell's doing brilliant. Merson, Smith, because Alan Smith, remember, he's Golden Boot winner twice.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? It was tough for Al once I got there, but I was actually, I don't know how I could try and describe the fear to people, because you know it's a fear that you're totally out of control of. You're just hoping that you can. You're going to be good enough because you do start to question yourself.
So with all these early years, the kind of recurring theme is that there was doubt and anxiety in that. So At what point in your career did that? At any point, did you go, no, this is me, I'm here now, and I am good enough? Did that kind of die away at any point? Or did that always kind of remain to a degree?
No, I think it always remained simply because it was one of the main factors that drives you on. Because I felt that, if you get to a stage where, like, even when I was scoring all the goals at Arsenal, I was the main guy, main striker and stuff like that, you always feel like if you start to act like, yeah, I'm the main striker, I don't need to, you're gonna probably lose that pretty quickly. And I don't think, with the way I came into the game, I ever gave myself the comfort of saying, oh, you can relax. Even now, I can't do it simply because you always feel something's going to get taken away from you.
That's what drives you then, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the only thing it could have been, because at no stage did I ever feel like, yeah, I've done it. Even when I was at Palace and me and Brighty were the main guys there and stuff, I still felt like I had so much more to do. And I think that one of the best things that ever happened to me to actually even give me even more of a boost on that is going to England. I realised, Jesus Christ, yeah, you might think you're playing well, but there's some people that are playing at some levels that if you want to reach there, you have your attitude, your work rate, everything has to improve. That's all it was.
Why, I think in modern football, do you think that's why some players, they kind of hit the big times, but then what comes with the big time nowadays is money, isn't it? Like, players are getting paid 150, 200 grand. And you see, genuinely, it's game over. It's almost like they sign the contract and
guys, we have to try and put it into perspective for people, like normal people who listen to this, who will never earn those kind of monies. If you're a young guy coming off of a working class family, you all of a sudden, let's take Emil Smith Rowe for instance. Come out of the academy probably on 5, 6, 10, let's say 10 grand, just because I don't know. And you come through the academy, you go to 80 because you've come in, you're blasting it. That kind of money does something to you.
At 21.
It does something to you. Now, what I'm pleased about Emil is that nothing's changed with Emil. Yeah. Nothing's changed with Bukayo Saka. But with some players, something changes them because not everybody's the same. And so you've got to understand, if all of a sudden you're going from a 10 grand after tax, 20 grand a month in your wages to 160 grand net a month, you know what I mean? You can buy everything you want. You can do something changes in you, which I can't comprehend, because I must admit, we did earn good money when we done it, but it was never the money. It was never the money what you're doing, because you felt at that time as well, you had to do so much more to earn the money. So when you got it, you're thinking, my God, yeah, I've just got to keep working hard. But the guys are getting the money at such an alarmingly quick rate now that something has to happen to them. Yeah. And they are tested. They're all tested. And then you see which ones will come out the other side. Which ones the money affects and which ones the money don't affect.
Just talking about Emil Smith Rowe quickly, we played him obviously, didn't we, last Sunday? Last Sunday it was.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you 100%, mate. Same as Bukayo. Like, it's almost like they're not exposed to the world and how it's sort of like the money should affect them and stuff like that. It's both like they both were on the pitch. They didn't give a shit about anything other than playing that game and that moment, and that was it. Emil Smith Rowe, he don't care. He don't care. I love it.
Especially, I've watched him since he was like 15. I watched him playing in the academy, seen them both. You know what I mean? And they both are playing how they played then. And it's nice to see, but the point I wanted to make was, when you're getting that kind of money, something happens to, if it's not you, it's the people around you.
Yeah. Nobody knows how you're going to react until you actually sign that contract. You see the money hit.
Yeah. It's in you though, isn't it? As like you hear people say, if I won 10 million quid, I'd be on the beach, kind of this kind of thing.
Say, I'll be dead, don't they?
Yeah,
but it's the same sort of thing.
Well, when we started the YouTube channel and doing, I came full time with Ben in like April, May this year. And I could genuinely say, if someone said to me, there's 10 million quid in your bank, I would be in the office every day. I'd be at it. I love it.
And that's the thing.
I love
it. The thing is that with me, and I'm sure yourself, Foz, and like you're saying yourself, there's certain people it's not the money. It's taking me, it takes people sometimes a few years to find that out.
Yeah.
Some players, especially if some people it is the money, after a while, if it is the money, you'll lose the money.
Yeah, you will.
Yes.
Because if that's what you're chasing, at some stage you're you're continually chasing, so it's never going to be enough.
Right, let's bring it back to Arsenal, okay? Like, so obviously you're a freak. We know 6 seasons on the bounce since you signed, top scorer, boom, goals for fun all over the place. All right, I think it'll be foolish of us, whilst we've got you here, to not try and find out why you think you were. What was it about you playing football on a Saturday afternoon that stood you out differently to everybody else? What was it about you as a striker?
When I in the professional game,
when you're scoring goals, what is it that you've got that I think some young footballers could go, oh, if you could have that, you would do.
Honestly, by then, Ben, I had so much belief. It was especially when you get people like Bergkamp and Vieira and that lot behind you now, that kind of like quality of player. You know, now I've got the belief, knowing that I've got those players coming with me, then I'm at a certain level myself. But then knowing that I'm going out to the pitch, on the pitch and looking back and seeing them behind me, I know that even if I'm having a bad game, if I know my mind is so focused on taking that chance, even if I'm having a bad game, I've got people who will give it to me. So my belief never waned in what I could do when I'm playing, if I get a chance. And when I went out there, as a striker, I believe I'm going to get one chance and I'm going to do the very, very best I'm going to do with it. And when I say that is, I'm not going to miss the target. Goalie's going to have to make a save. I had the belief that I could do that in every game. In every game. So when I went out there, I believed I could score in every single game. So that never, ever came in my mind that I feel like, I've gone, I don't feel confident. I never went out there not feeling confident I'm going to do it, because in training all week, I'm doing the same thing. I'm not missing targets. I'm making goalkeepers make saves. I'm trying to beat Dave Seaman. Dave Seaman being in goal made me a better striker.
If you could beat him.
Exactly, on a Saturday, you know what I mean? To the point where I'd score goals and like it's not quite gone as far in as you'd like it. It might the goalkeeper, and you think to yourself, David Seaman would have saved that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you think to yourself, David Seaman just being in goal made me better. So when I go out there, I know that first thing you look at and say, he's not as good as Dave Seaman. So if I get my chance, I'm going to score against him. So I had so many different ways of feeling positive and being focused on being able to score, that I didn't have no time to be anything but ready to take the chance.
What he'll do is when he comes through to goal, if he's on the angle or something like that, he'll see that bottom right-hand corner. He might see the near post. He might be stood up a little bit so I can just put it in the near post. But most of the time, David Seaman don't get his angles wrong, right? He knows that if you're going to beat him, it will have to be in that corner.
Perfect,
almost posting in, yeah? It has to be posting in. So he'll be coming through a goal thinking, I have to put it in that corner. When you take that into games and you're against a lesser goalie, mate, that tiny corner just becomes a little bit bigger as well.
You often went back across the goalkeeper, and I was watching.
Yes.
I watched on Sky last night. It was Premier League 100 Club. I watched them all. The amount of times you've stuck it in that bottom corner off the post to the millimetre. But the point I was going to make was, when a player like yourself, it's movement, instinct. When you've got Vieira, Paul Merson, Bergkamp must have been an absolute dream for you.
You know what happened, Tom? And again, this is why I'm saying what I'm pleased about is that at no stage did I take it for granted that I've got myself to a certain level, to the point where I'm now playing with Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira. Patrick Vieira was a World Cup winner, Manny Petit, playing with World Cup winners. And so at no stage did I take that for granted. And you make the move. Like I remember I told a story on my podcast that I remember when Dennis first got there, what was happening is that we was on the same side, but when I was making the run, it was like the ball was just coming behind, or it wasn't quite right. And I remember Dennis just pulled me and he says, maybe just you can hold it a fraction. Because I think that because I didn't know him well enough yet. And what I learned is he's not getting it wrong. You know what I mean, Ben? He's not getting it wrong. So then what happens is that listen, just hold it a fraction. Because remember we're dealing with somebody who I have to say, guys, I can't remember the amount of training sessions where you think that Dennis went all right. I can't remember. I can't remember any. Ask anybody. So when Dennis, after the first few sessions, and he's just saying, you know what I mean, and we're talking about, especially in the games, just hold that run a fraction. Once we got it,
bam,
it was just like, I'm thinking to myself, and this is what I'm saying, I could play in a game and I could have the worst time, it could just be going wrong. Just Dennis's one moment through to me, bam. You know, thinking like, I've got to put it in there. You know, well, it's not quite gone in there, but it's not Dave Seaman. Bam, you score. All of a sudden, you're back on your game. You're back.
Yeah, it's a dream,
you know, because if you look at it, you think to yourself, you talk about 313 goals. I've probably missed another 100 and odd. Easy. Probably missed another 300 and odd. But people remember the goals because that's what it's about, scoring the goals. I've missed loads, I've missed chances. But what I try to do in every single game I played in, especially once I had that great chat with Chris Waddle at the PFA, 2 hours talking about finishing. Any game I'm going into, I'm more upset with missing the target than anything else. It's criminal. It's sacrilege. Should never miss the target as a striker.
That's the goalie.
Always make the goalie make a save. You can hit it through. Sometimes you see people go through. So hit it through the goalie. Because when he comes, he's got to do that, go through here, hit him there and go in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to be that precise, especially when they're coming out. There's the goal don't move. It's still behind him. The main thing is you've got to understand, I've just got to get it past him. I haven't got to get it round him there, so you're standing here, Ben. I haven't got to go way round there. I've just got to get it past you here.
Somewhere there.
Yeah, just by your shoulder, by your head, by your arm, under here. So then it goes in the goal, and sometimes people try to be too precise.
Can I say, I think the two words I would use to describe you most as like your biggest attributes as a footballer. One is desire.
Yes.
Which I think for any footballer is probably the biggest thing that you can have. But two, and we said about it as I'm walking here, ruthless. Oh my God, in front of the goal, righty.
I used to say to the goalies as well, especially at home or where our fans were, I said, you make sure you don't drop it. If you drop it, the next thing you're hearing is our crowd. You're hearing the crowd because I'm there. And the thing is, because it's a time where you could challenge the goalkeepers as well. You could challenge a goalkeeper.
We did as well.
You know, you can challenge the goalies. Because then what happens is it kind of puts a bit of a doubt in their mind.
Heck yes, it does. It's horrible, mate.
It puts a doubt in their mind.
If it's a free ball and I'm coming to get it, if you're going for it, I'm looking at you. I'm taking one eye off that ball to look at you.
Yeah.
And it will stick in your head for the next one as well.
Has that gone out the game now, Ben?
To an extent. You still get the odd one or two that will do it though. They'll leave someone. Luis Suarez, I remember, horrible little shit. Honestly, horrible. But I would want him on my team doing it.
Yeah, you do.
I want that guy on my team doing that all the time.
You can get the fraction of what can I say? The margins.
Yeah.
You've got to take. Yeah, you got to take it.
And what about when Arsene came in?
Yeah, God.
What was that like?
It was scientific. You know what I mean? Even speaking with him the other day, and what I'd say with Arsene Wenger more than anything else is just not being at the age where I could have been with him long enough. Because even Arsene says, you know, I came too late for you.
Yeah,
you were 33 when I didn't realise you were 33 when he came in.
Yeah.
33, and you know, it was one of those. You know, when you feel something's happening here, man. Something's happening here. You know, because remember, no one knew who Arsene Wenger was, but what he says and what he says in when he done that thing with Mr. Dean the other day was what he needed to do is make sure that he planted someone like Patrick in there. So as when you see Patrick and what Patrick's capable of, you say, yeah, but we don't know him. But look at the players he's capable of getting. And so then you build it off of the fact that, wow, that's what he's capable of doing. He changed everything from night to day in how we prepared. And everybody jumped on it. Everybody jumped on it to the point where Dennis, we weren't allowed tea when we'd link up. And I remember sneaking tea bags in one time and I was going to make it in the room. Dennis went, what are you doing?
Wow.
And I went, tell me a cup of tea. He said, yeah, but we can't have tea.
And everyone's bought into it.
Everybody's bought into it to the point where then you started to deal with Dennis and speak to Dennis and Dennis says, I'm doing this at home.
Wow.
So what Wenger got us doing was only drinking water, no tea, no sugar at certain times, no salt, no pepper, no nothing. All the stuff that you have that you think is just everyday, oh, that's fine. All of that stopped. You're literally eating for fuel. It's purely for fuel. Everything was just boiled and bland, but like it was fuel. And in the end, people started doing it at home. That's why we were like monsters at the end of that 98 season with that 10-game unbeaten run.
Yeah.
We were like monsters.
Jesus Christ.
So what about...
It's making me nervous. Like, I don't think I'm built like that, righty. I don't think I can live like that. Honestly,
you know what? You buy into it very quickly because what will happen is, and Arsene Wenger said as well, listen, I want you because we're taking B6, B12, creatine, vitamin injections. Everything was happening. He says people who are not going to do it, you will be left behind. People who kind of like slow to do it, you can literally notice in training after 2 months, 2-3 months, the people who are not doing it regularly.
So being the kind of person you are, did that almost like, I bet that kind of triggered you a little bit in terms of, well, I better do this because otherwise I won't be...
Yeah, but at first there was a little bit of apprehension at the start because like people were saying all sorts of shit about creatine and what it does to you and then the tablets and that. So everybody's like, whoa, what's going on? Because this is something that was happening regularly in France and in Germany and all those places, Italy. They were doing that. Wenger just brought it to us. So at first, you're kind of like, well, I'm taking those. And then after a while, you just jump on board, because if you don't jump on board for a start, you're going to get moved on. You're going to get shipped. But the fact is, once you do get on board and then you start seeing the training sessions go to another level of intensity, and just everybody's just stronger, quicker, faster, everything. You soon just say, "Whoa, this is working."
Pioneer, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's quite well documented, isn't it? That was a bit of a boys' club at Arsenal in
Tuesday Club.
Tuesday
Club was, it's a bully culture, because I wasn't a great drinker anyway, even before. I'm one of those. If I have 2 pints, I'm literally like, I might as well. I can make a fucking rut to the fucking toilet every 2 seconds. I'm that guy.
Right.
Open the seal, bam, 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 constantly going to the toilet. So I didn't like to used to drink anyway. But when you went there, it felt pressured, simply because that's where things got sorted out. That's where the kind of like the culture of like, look at him, he's got a thumbprint on his forehead, he's got to go home, his missus. It kind of felt like that. But it was a place that I went to. I went to all the time, that we did go there, and the foreign guys came towards the end. They just drank what they drank, like juice or whatever it was. But it got to a different place, and obviously, once Tony stopped, it all stopped. Yeah. But leading into that, it was one of those places where it just got awkward and sometimes very uncomfortable, and things got sorted, and it was okay, but it wasn't needed for me.
So is that, I heard a story recently which really made me laugh. You'll have to confirm it for me. Is it true that when Arsene Wenger walked in, Ray Parlour said, "Who the fucking hell are you?"
No, he didn't say that, because you're never, as a player, you're never going to say that to the new manager. You're never going to say it. So people have got to understand that, Ray Parlour would do under a breath. Because I remember when they said it to me, I'd just finished a game. There was a game that we just finished. I can't remember. And I was doing an interview, because I saw it flash up on the telly the other day on Arsene Wenger's film. And I was doing it, just finished, and they said, "Yeah, so your new boss, Arsene Wenger." And I went, "Who?" You just said it naturally. Everybody said who, because we didn't know him. Ray Parlour would have probably said that to his closest confidant people, like the lads. But you're never gonna say that to anyone else. But like, it was definitely, who is this guy? It's just changed everything.
Let's move. So obviously Arsenal. Wow, how many goals? There was like 185 goals.
Yeah.
We get out of Arsenal, a few other teams. Celtic. How does that happen?
That was, something that happened because I was at West Ham. I went out on loan to Forest, and then Henrik Larsson broke his leg, and then John Barnes took over, and Celtic was my team. Barnesy gave me a call, and I said absolutely no problem. I didn't want to go back to West Ham, because people don't realise, everybody goes on about Harry and how Harry's great. Harry, cheeky chappy Harry. He's a nightmare when he goes the other way. Yeah. Total nightmare. You don't want to be around him. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, I remember I got injured after a Newcastle game. I slid, done a knee slide, and I felt something in my knee, just a little clunk. And so nothing happened. So I went back to training. Then I trained on the Tuesday, and it went again. I went, but they had Swansea in the cup, and he was saying that I fobbed it off. I didn't fancy it. Never done that in my life. And since then, so that was 99. It would have been 99 or something, late night. And then we never spoke from then. Then I went in one morning, said, Forest want you on loan, because David Platt was there. So I said, yeah, no problem, I'll go. Went there, and then while I was there, the Celtic thing happened, and so I went there, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
it's very much a goldfish. The fans were amazing. I thought that the press were a little bit over the top.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But then what they're going to do? You got Ian Wright, the kind of a character of, a controversial character coming to Celtic.
They know what they're getting.
Yeah, and so you got the Rangers. So the Rangers side of it. So it kind of like piled on a bit. You know what I mean? I kind of got a lot of stick people follow me, and all that sort of stuff, like press people going back and trying to find stuff just to put more pressure on it. It was pressurized enough as it was. Remember, I was 34, 35? I can't remember. I would have been about 34. So, it's not like I'm in my prime.
Is that an easy decision to make, just to go up to Scotland? Because I think if somebody says to me,
it was for me because it was Celtic. It was for me because it was Celtic. Yeah,
for a year or two.
Very easy to go there.
Did you play in an old firm?
Yeah, I played in the one at Ibrox.
Tell us about that atmosphere. That meant to be something else.
Well, the thing about it is, it's not an atmosphere where, like for instance, England in Rome, for it against Italy, to qualify for the World Cup, and you could feel the atmosphere is a sporting atmosphere where it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, this is tense. The atmosphere at Rangers with the songs that what they were singing before and what was going on, and it was scary. It felt the tension. Yeah, the tension felt like something that's getting ready to spill over and go.
Not enjoyable.
It wasn't enjoyable because the lead up to it wasn't enjoyable, and the game itself, in the end, we lost the game 4-2. But like I've never played in a game where I've gone on there feeling apprehensive in my stomach. My stomach was like all weird and that. You get on with it, but then you got players like from the Rangers players just smashing into you. So you didn't feel like it was a fair place to be playing for me at the time. And people talk about how, oh my God, what's that like? It's not. It wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't like, oh my God, one thing I'd love to do again is playing the Old Firm derby. No, not at all. It wasn't a nice atmosphere to play football in.
I played up there once with Man United. It was a Champions League match, and I've got to say I was exactly the same. I didn't enjoy it. The atmosphere, it got in me massively. Yeah. I didn't enjoy it at all. I
would go as far as say I was afraid.
Yeah, it is. It's like that, isn't it? Yeah, horrible. Afraid. I played one out in Turkey once as well. The same thing.
Oh my gosh,
Besiktas.
We played England, Turkey. They were throwing spark plugs from the rafters.
They're bonkers, aren't they?
Crazy it was.
What about North London derby?
Amazing, especially at White Hart Lane.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't feel the same kind of pressure. The thing at Highbury, being at Highbury, you're more nervous because our fans are in their ground and Tottenham are coming there. And if Tottenham beat us there, it's even worse.
They didn't very often.
No, they didn't. I think they beat us one time there when it was 3-1. But we were playing in the cup final the next week, so it was. You kind of say, yeah, well, it's fine.
Took your foot off the gas.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. But when you're talking about going into that derby, and the fans, it doesn't matter what kind of game it is, they are so adamant. You can't lose to these lot. You can't lose to Spurs. And I like playing at White Hart Lane because I just felt like it made me stick my chest out a bit more because I had to be my best.
Yeah.
I had to be my best.
I was a Tottenham fan as a kid, right? And for me, that game, that Tottenham Arsenal, woof. It felt like recently, over the last probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, it hasn't maybe meant as, not that it's not meant as much, but I think the two teams are different to what they used to be. They would always be up there, Arsenal especially. But in the last, I'd say this season, like, what was it, 4-0, 5-1 or something like that early in the season.
Do you think it's changed, though, with the young lads coming through again?
Well, this is what I'm saying, Tom. This is what I was about to say. With Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, Maitland-Niles, with all those guys that have come through, they feel it because that goes through the clubs. It goes through Spurs. It goes through us in respects of what it means to not lose that game. And it when I was there with Tony and David Rocastle, Merce, and all the guys who were there, who came through the Arsenal youth team in the academy, literally, their demeanour changed.
Yeah, it ain't a joke, is it?
Yes.
It ain't a joke, yeah.
It changed, the demeanour changes, and you get into that, you buy into that. I think as the years have gone by, it's changed because they haven't got the same affinity for the actual game. They know that Tottenham are our biggest rivals, but they don't feel it.
Yeah.
Because when I signed for Arsenal, David Rocastle, I was in his house till 5 a.m. Most of the time, we was talking about what it means not to lose to Tottenham.
Wow.
They felt it. You see Tony Adams in the dressing room before this game. You know what I mean? Veins like the size of your arm. So this is why it was so great to play in them, especially at White Hart Lane, scoring an equaliser at the death, scoring a winner at the death. Best times for me.
I think he's played through the pomp of English football. I love football at the minute, I do, but I think it just meant so much more back then.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, Ben, as well. We were kids, so it meant more to us.
Maybe
as well.
Yeah, maybe.
However, you touched on it earlier on when we were saying about the pomp of English football. Mm-hmm. You look at the English strikers playing at that time, and it is frightening. It's
heavy.
Yes.
Like Shearer, Fowler, even towards the end, Owen, Ferdinand, Fowler,
Cole,
Collymore.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wow.
And even Dion Dublin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People don't put Dion on that kind of list and that, but for a striker, straight up striker, he was magnificent.
Yeah. And then he go and play centre back as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, just because he could.
Utility player, mate.
But the thing is that I mentioned about having to keep your levels. You come in, chasing down Shearer. Remember, Shearer missed 3 years of football with his knees. and he's still blasted a record out there that no one's got close to yet. You got him. You come in. You say, I've scored 2. Shearer scored a hat-trick. I score a hat-trick, Shearer scores 4. Yeah. Or I score 3, Shearer scored 2. So you're not really making no move on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is why we joke about it all the time. And then you got Andy Cole. You know, Les Ferdinand had that season at Newcastle.
Yeah.
You know,
Robbie, when he first signed Spurs, wow.
Robbie Fowler.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, Teddy Sheringham.
What a player.
So talking about Alan Shearer, okay, so I watched the YouTube documentary you did the other day not the other day, that you've got on your YouTube channel with obviously with Sean and DiMaggio.
Yes.
And you're talking about the Alan Shearer goal, you know, the one he scores for Newcastle against
Schmeichel, yeah.
So the ball's come over the top and he's volleyed it with the inside of his foot, but he's curled it backwards.
It's amazing.
So if you volleyball with your inside of your foot, you're normally curling it. Say you do it with your right foot, you go right to left, it would curl. He's curled it the other way round into the top left corner, and that in itself, it's outrageous, isn't it?
I'm trying to explain, because people think that he's just a hot shot Amish. He's just like, bam, everything's blasted, because one of his great goals was against Everton. I think it was Everton.
You're right, in goal, yeah.
And then it was the same with, I think he done one against Chelsea with Desai, just barged off Desai and just blasted it in. But this goal, he hadn't scored for a few games as well. And it came from about 30 yards that way. Yeah. And he's found himself just that side of the 6-yard box. And he's got it with the inside of his foot, and he's curled it back into the top corner with Schmeichel in goal.
Schmeichel just stood there, jumped in.
And again, you think to yourself, that skill, and to execute that, I don't care who you are. Yeah. I'll give you 100 goes at that. And if you do that once, I'm giving you all the props you want. Every single thing, if you do that once.
So this is why, another question I've got now then is, so let's move on from football. You've just recently retired. Yeah. Why not become a coach?
You know something? It's the question that I'll continually ask myself, simply because the agents that I was with at the time, with all the noise that was about when I was because I'd done Top of the Pops, and off the back of Top of the Pops, ITV wanted me to do something, done another Top of the Pops, then I'd done this chat show kind of like pilot for ITV.
Hosting Top of the Pops,
yeah.
Nice.
And so then I'd done this pilot, and then that went crazy. Everybody loved that. So then I'd done this show, Friday Night It's All Right, and this was while I was still playing. So it was kind of like, almost like my next career was kind of opening up without me even really knowing about it. So I thought to myself, this is all fine. I'm having fun at the moment. I'm playing football. I'm doing television. It's brilliant. I'm kind of bridging the two like careers. And then all of a sudden it comes to the point where I am stopping, and I needed that time. I needed that 2 years to not do anything, because I did want to coach. And not because I wanted to coach, because I want to be a manager. It was one thing that was always said was, you know what I mean? Just do them. You never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you always hear managers, he's a manager. When I was in the dressing room, I'd have never thought he would have been a manager.
Yeah.
So I just thought, just to have them. And these guys, they steered me away from it. Why do you want to be a manager? You know, you don't spend no time with your family. And the thing is, doing the television is exactly the same. You don't spend a lot of time with your family. You're all over the country, especially with the shows I was doing. And it's one of the regrets. And I think that I should have been stronger myself. I just said, no, I'm going to take the 2 years off. There was no financial problems, nothing around. I could have just taken them off and said to them, no, I don't. But they were saying, but if you don't do it, your future, and then your television, what about the television? What's going to... And so they kind of got me into positions that, all right, I'll do it. And I didn't do the badges. Just went straight into television, and to the point where I'd done the television show for a while with the chat shows, then that kind of faded off. Then I went to the BBC, then I started doing game shows, went to ITV, game show, and then I started to lose my way because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And so what I done was, in the end, I stopped doing them all and just went into punditry.
Yeah, I think
it's my fault. I'm not going to blame them. As I have to blame myself as well. I should have been a lot firmer about that, because I do miss being in and around the dressing room area.
I know for a fact, Wrighty, that I think there has to be a specific role for strikers, like a striker coach, for example. So if just listening to you today, for example, I've listened to many things and I think, oh my God, he just knows what he's talking about when you really drill down to the fine details. And if you've got a striker coach in at it doesn't matter what club it is, showing those strikers the little movements, the fake movements, the playing on shoulders, the in behind, when to do it over the goalie, do it early. Do you know what I mean? You said in that, again, into that YouTube documentary, one big thing for you was taking it early before the goalie has a chance to set. And it's the nightmare. Like, as a goalie, I have to get set before I can push off and move. And so when a player takes it early, but that's the difference. You see it in the top players and they know that, like you would know that. And I think that would be an amazing thing to be able to do, is to just pass that knowledge on a little bit as well.
I tell you what I used to do, because Dave Seaman didn't want to do a lot of diving about after training. He wasn't that goalie. You know, someone like Alex Meninga would dive around all day. Yeah. All day. He was magnificent. But me and Dave Seaman used to talk about what would happen here. And when this is happening, Dave, so when I'm here, I'm just going into the box. Like, I scored a goal against Leeds, against John Lukic, and it was perfect what Dave Seaman said.
Corner chipper.
He said, yeah. He said, listen, Ian, you know the parameters, you know where the 18-yard box is. You know when you start to see that little D, you know where you are. The goalkeeper, especially if he's looking, if he sees your head's down, because I was going towards him, but I was trying to keep this ball, I was trying to get the ball and keep it away from Wetherell, right? But then, as my head's down there, I'm just starting to see the line come. You know, the 18-yard, I'm starting to see the circle and the line. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to chip that, because there's no way he's ready for this. He can either catch it and you go, or you chip him. And the reason why I was done that, because Dave Seaman would say he'd be looking to see, right, has he got enough time to shoot? And he'll be looking, like, am I setting it? So what he's thinking is, bam, I've already chipped it. He's chipped it because he's not expecting it. Because when you look where John Lukic is for that particular goal, you think to yourself, what are you doing there? People say, what are you doing there? Because he's not expecting the chip.
This is what I mean about the details, right? So it's exactly right, though. If you're running through on goal and you've got a player onto you there, and you haven't looked up at the goal yet, you can't place it. You won't open your foot up and place it into a corner.
No.
You're blasting it. You have to just get out of your feet and blast it, which for a goalie makes your mind up for you. It's easier for me then, because I can take a little step out, narrow the angle a little bit, and just be prepared to make a reaction save sort of thing. But once you lift your head up, it's a completely different shot to save. I have to retreat almost, knowing he can bend it round. These are the little details, mate.
And the thing is what I love talking about it. So I was speaking with Jamie Carragher. I'm probably going to do something with Jamie at some stage, just to try and let people understand the intricacies of what the goalie's doing. And because I know so much what the goalie's doing, because Dave Seaman tells me, if I'm here, I've got to make sure, like the goal against Everton, the one that went bam, 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 because I know like Neville Southall has to be there in the goal from the angle I'm coming into it. So then all I do is I say, well, there's loads of goal there, so I'll just lift it. You know what I mean? It's just knowing, and if you know enough and you can continually like repetitious with what you're doing, you know where goalkeepers are. You know when they do that little step where they're off the ground, and then it turns into a science, bro. I love it.
He's a master of your craft, mate. He's a master of your craft. That's what it is. You have to learn your craft. You have to learn the little details, the bits that, like you say, the percents that gets you an advantage.
We did an episode a couple of weeks ago. It was the Goalkeepers Union, and we had a couple of Ben's old teammates in. And I kind of just sat there for an hour. And
I'm not joking.
Like, blown
There's not
away.
enough goalkeeper coaching on punditry. Not enough. See David Priest do his stuff on Twitter, brilliant.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
You're doing your stuff now. Good. But like, we're not seeing, like Robert Green. Robert Green came on, done the Premier League show with me. He was magnificent. He's magnificent. And I just think that we do need to hear more from goalkeepers and stuff like, and what the art.
It's the same thing though. You can break everything down, like especially with every goal that goes in, right. You can break everything down on that goalkeeper of what he did for that goal, and you're not going to save everything. You won't, right? But what you can do is you can get yourself into an optimal position every single time, like you said earlier, playing off shoulders, getting yourself into an optimal position where in between the goalkeeper. And it's the same with goalies, mate. It's class. I love talking the details.
Honestly, the details.
People don't realise, do they?
Yeah.
They don't. The details.
That's the difference. I think and if you're ready to go into that, that's what will give you that extra bit. Like Harry Kane, I heard Patrick Bamford said, what I noticed more than anything else is how clinical Harry Kane is. Yeah. So he'll go back to Leeds and realise, well, if that's what I'm trying to get to, I've got to be as clinical as that. What do I need to do?
Yeah. Talking about Harry Kane, played against San Marino the other night. Is that the sort of game as a striker you're thinking, oh my God, I'm filling my boots?
Harry Kane scoring 4 against San Marino.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, because I scored 4 against San Marino myself, I'm thinking Harry's done brilliantly there. But the thing is
we went 1-0 down after 8 seconds.
I know.
Didn't we?
The thing with that was, I can't understand how San Marino could be at that level now. I think they've got to look at that.
Something. I agree,
We can't do anything but beat what's in front of us, but they've not improved. From the time I've played them, 93, 94, whenever it was, to now, they've actually got worse. Faroe Islands, you're looking at countries like that, they're getting better slowly. Something needs to be done, especially when you look how hard it is for them to qualify out of the African nation. It's their stuff, you know what I mean? It's very difficult. It doesn't seem right. But saying that, I look at the list, and it was Wayne Rooney, who was Wayne Rooney. And on the list of the goal scorers,
you got Charlton, Rooney,
Lineker, Harry Kane, Jimmy Greaves. And you look at Bobby Charlton and Jimmy Greaves, they weren't playing in games like that.
Nah, true.
No,
you know what I mean? But I'm not going to take anything away from Harry, but we have to look and see that those guys are top of that, and they were playing in the 60s. And they're still in the top end. So we're talking about elite.
Elite, yeah. Scoring goals against proper teams.
Yeah.
All right, righty, I've got some questions for you.
Go on then.
Okay, right, boom. So, best goalkeeper you ever played with? I think I know the answer to this, and I hope it's the answer to this. He's an idol of mine.
It's David Seaman.
Love that.
And I'm not going to go on too much because I've done it already, but he made me a better striker.
Yeah.
He made me realise I had to be better.
What about the goalkeeper you played against?
Schmeichel.
Yeah.
Schmeichel was tough. He's very tough, to the point where we were driven by a hatred of each other. Yeah. Scored a great goal against him in the Community Shield, and he always says, but it didn't really count. But it does count to the tally. And I scored a couple of penalties against him in South Africa and stuff like that. But he was somebody that, when I went onto the pitch, and I think it's something that was to my detriment, I played into his hands.
Really?
Wanted to score too much.
I was going to say, would it make you raise your game? But it obviously too much, though.
Yeah, what I should have done is should have backed off it. Yeah. I can finish. I've shown, play my game. And that's what I was saying. I got too wrapped up in wanting to score and wanted to tease him with it.
I love this.
So
this is class, mate. I love this. Right, best player you've ever played with?
Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah. I think Gazza, I have to mention Gazza simply because of how great Gazza was. And he's got to get something. And I played with him, and the times I played with him, he was magnificent. But playing with Dennis on a daily basis and then on a Saturday and seeing what he's done, he's the best signing. I think he's the best signing Arsenal made.
Really?
Easily, yeah.
There's something about that natural footballer, isn't there? That it's like a real emotional
Everything
thing.
about
can't
him.
Help but love him.
You just look at him and he's probably perfect in the size he is, the length of his arms, the length of his legs, the size of his boots. He's perfect to be a footballer.
And then as a guy as well, class, yeah.
Yes.
I love this stuff. Right.
What about played against? Best player you played against?
Fabio Cannavaro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good.
Fuck, that was a real education, because, like I say, we're talking about, like, he's the only defender to ever win the FIFA Player of the Year, the Ballon d'Or, I think, and you know why? He's got everything. he's what? I think I'm taller than him. He's like 5'7", 5'8". He could leap. His head, he could probably touch the ceiling there. Quick, strong, unbelievable, like, defensive nous in respects of positioning. Just everything. It was just like a real, like, education just to be playing against him. And you know what? I know, again, like, playing against him, I raised my game. I played some of my best games against him. You know what I mean? And what was good about it is that afterwards, he gave me his shirt and stuff, lifted me up, and even when we done ITV together, he was saying that he was quite concentrated when he played against me because he knew that I was trying to make those runs. But, like, to hear those things makes me happy, simply because I knew that the work wasn't in vain. You know what I mean? So at least I know going in there. And I remember scoring a really nice goal against Italy in the tournoi, and Cannavaro was meant to be picking me up, but I moved on to Ciro Ferrara and just roasted him. And, like, what I wanted him to know was, if you leave me for a second, I'm going to take the piss out of your mate. And so I scored that goal. And I remember when we done the World Cup, might have been in Brazil, and he said, I didn't want to leave you because I saw what you'd done to Ciro.
That's a badge of honour, isn't it?
Honestly, it made me feel like, see, everything what I'm thinking is right. It's real, because he's really good, and I might not be able to get something from him, but if he leaves me, he knows that I'm good enough to get something. So I was quite pleased to hear him say something like that because he's the best. He's the best
How
ever.
nice is it to hear stories from other people about? Imagine how many stories you've got. The defenders out there that have gone. This time, I thought I could do this against Ian Wright, but he did that and absolutely fucked me. Like it'd be incredible. Wouldn't it? There'll be so many of them out there. It's incredible.
What about the hardest, toughest defender you've played against?
Like
As
rough.
in rough, yeah.
There's a guy called Keith Stevens. He used to play for Millwall. Rhino, they called him. And the thing about it is, I loved him as a person. You see him afterwards, but like he was a typical Millwall player who they absolutely adored. And he gave me and he wasn't quick. He was just like rough. He's rough. It's like when I played against Martin Keown when Martin Keown was at Aston Villa. Horrible, you know, just really horrible. But I think Keith Stevens, and you know why I want to give him some love, Keith Stevens, because while he's playing for his team, he'd literally have done anything to win and stop me. Anything. And there was times where he could have done me, could have broke my leg, could have done anything like that. Because it was Millwall, the Millwall fans probably would have loved it. He never done it. He was just fucking hard against me.
Decent.
And I got to give him that. I got to give him that love because he could have easily finished me. Could have killed me off.
Highbury or the Emirates?
Highbury. It's not even a question.
Come on.
Not even a question.
That was your question, I think.
No, but it's okay, Ben. You know what I mean? But like the Highbury.
All right. Highlight of your career?
Lifting the Premier League.
Yeah. 98 was it?
Yeah, lifting the Premier League. You know, and it was a season where I was started it so well, and then I got injured, and I got back towards the end, and I feel that if I stopped playing now, and I didn't have a Premier League medal with the goals that I scored for Arsenal and that, because I even thought like even breaking the record, I didn't think 179 goals for a club of Arsenal's stature was enough. So in the end, Thierry breaking it, bringing it to 228 it's much more of a kind of a record that you look at and say, yeah, that's a proper record because the club. They deserve a record like that. So winning the league at that club, what I went there for, I've won everything domestically from England, and then we won the European Cup Winners' Cup. So what I went to Arsenal for, I achieved. But I think winning the league gives me the most joy. If Palace won the FA Cup in 90, that would have given me the most joy. Yeah, that would have done it.
Okay, so this is an interesting question. So I think a lot of people think that footballers in general it's just cloud nine all the time, having a lovely time. But it's not like that. What has been the lowest moment of your footballing career?
I think it's probably the 1996 getting left out of the Euros.
Home Euros, wasn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, it's one that I will never ever be able to get over because Terry Venables, I was somebody that I'd scored in big games. I've come off the bench and scored in big games. I made my first goal for England was coming off the bench and scoring a goal. So having the golden goal in England in our tournament, I'm thinking I'm going to make that squad. He took Robbie Fowler and he took Les Ferdinand. They never played a minute. So I'm thinking with my previous of coming off the bench, I'm just thinking I can't get over the fact that I know that in 96, if the England fans saw me warming up ready to come on, that does something to the crowd. That does something. And for Venables to not recognise it, not put me in, was something that I will never, ever forgive him for. And simply because I felt like I was destined to score the golden goal for England, for us to win. We should have won the tournament.
Yeah.
And I nothing's going to stop me from thinking I was a missing piece for that. Yeah. I should have been there.
So you need somebody, especially off a bench, like you say, you need somebody. You need to have a different outlet, whether it's a big one or whatever. You need to have somebody.
Something that, because it gets to a point in a game where you think, what are we going to... And then bam, the crowd see me warming up. It gives them a lift again.
Yeah, that's class, I love
Gutted.
it. Just a couple more, mate. Right, honestly, mate, I'm not joking. You are world class. It's an absolute honour and a pleasure to have you on our podcast.
Man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Favourite player as a kid?
Probably have to say... Kevin Keegan.
Yeah.
Even though, obviously Laurie Cunningham and Cyril Regis were my idols simply because you can see it, so you can be it kind of vibe. Seeing Cyril Regis as a footballer made me realise, and watching them hammer Man United, West Bromwich Albion hammer Man United in 1978, and Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham playing and brilliant. You know, it made me realise, wow, I could be a footballer. But I remember Kevin Keegan because he was so small, and he was doing it. And people always said I was too small. So Kevin Keegan was somebody I looked up to and said, yeah, he was the one, Kevin Keegan.
What current footballer playing right now would you think is most similar to you?
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
I love him. You know, I love his shit house. I love when Jamie Vardy he teases them.
He don't give a shit.
You know what? And you know what I love about him? I remember when he blasted onto the scene as well, when he scored that goal against United when they were just magnificent that game Leicester. And I remember saying that guy is, if he carries on doing exactly what he's doing, he's playing for England. I got hammered. They were cooking me for it because I saw everything. You know, I saw everything in him: pace, desire, finishing ability. You know, hard working. Yeah. I saw every single thing in Jamie Vardy, and I still see it to this day.
Yeah, it's class, isn't it?
I adore him. I adore him and what he does and the path he's blazing.
I hate playing against him, mate.
Jamie, I love Jamie, bro.
Because you know he's the same as you. Like you say, you give him a split second, mate. Yeah. He will play on the shoulder, and he will give him a split second where you take your eye off him. The ball's over the top, he's in, and you're buggered,
he's
mate.
Still what was he, 34, and he's still rapid, isn't he?
27 he hit the Premier League.
Yeah, I know.
It's amazing.
I know.
Yeah. He's been doing it ever since. Favourite striker in the world right now?
Yeah, final question, mate. Final question. Favourite striker in the world right now?
I'll probably have to go with... I love Romelu Lukaku, but I'm going to go with Erling Haaland.
Oh, yeah, good. It's a good one, mate.
He looks like... He looks like he could be whatever he wants once he gets going. And I like watching a striker like him when you watch them and he's just unstoppable. Once he just can't be stopped. Yeah. Mbappe, you know, he's probably, got to be up there as well. But I'd probably go with Haaland because I just want to see him make that next move to see if he can then be exactly what I think he can be. Because at the moment, he looks like a bit of a monster. Anywhere he goes, if they've got the right service to him, he's gonna rip it. Seeing him at Manchester City finishes everything for me. I think that finishes everything.
That will be a problem. I think I see the same in him as what you see is it's a desire thing. It's a desire thing. You can see he's got a bit of nasty about him as well.
He's got something, but what he has got is that he finishes unbelievably. Yeah. Clinically. Yeah.
Ian Wright, Uncle Ian Wright, mate, thank you, honestly.
Pleasure, man.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I felt like I went on too much. I said too much stuff to you.
We could do a part 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Listen to you all day, mate.
Notes, haven't we?
I could listen to you all day.
Brilliant.
We always finish the podcast by looking into a camera, so I'll do it on this one. I'll start this all off. We always go, up the Fozcast.
Up the Fozcast.
Up the Fozcast.